Anti-India protests rock Bangladesh for the second day today, forcing India to shut its visa application centers. 2 more visa application centers were shut in Rajshahi and Khulna. A group of radical Islamists are leading this anti-India front, demanding the return of ousted former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, who's currently in refuge in our country. Violent protesters raising chants of Allahu Akbar threatened to not let Indian officials work on Bangladeshi soil anymore. But what has led to this unrest? Sheikh Hasina's critic, Usman Hadi, was shot in Dhaka on the 12th of December. He was part of the upcoming elections that are to be held early next year. He's also the spokesperson for the Islamic organization Inqilab Manch and is running as an independent candidate from Dhaka next year. Inqilab Manch played a key role in overthrowing the Awami League government led by the then Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, and hence the party supports and radical Islamist groups blamed Hasina and India for hatching this attack on Hadi. Let's listen in to a few of the voices.
আমরা সবাই হাদি হব, যুগে যুগে লড়াই করব। আমরা সবাই হাদি হব, যুগে যুগে লড়াই করব। আমরা সবাই হাদি হব, যুগে যুগে লড়াই করব। এই তরুণ প্রজন্মের জোয়ার কেউ থামাইতে পারবে না। এই তরুণ প্রজন্মের যে জোয়ার উঠেছে সেটা নির্বাচনী ফলাফল এই তরুণ প্রজন্মের জোয়ারকে থামাইতে পারবে না।
So what exactly is going on in Bangladesh and how should India react to it? Aditya Rajkol, Senior Executive Editor at NDTV, joins us along with Tehmeena Rizvi, Senior Policy Analyst. Muqtadir Rashid, Senior Journalist, joins us from Bangladesh. I want to start with you actually, Aditya. How does one read this? Because now one was hoping that Bangladesh is slowly inching towards democracy. Elections are finally being held after all of these months. And then you have these radicals being given free run in Bangladesh.
Well, Padmaja, there should be no doubt in your mind that this is being driven by Mohammad Yunus. Mohammad Yunus is the chief advisor of the Bangladeshi government right now, and he hasn't had the courage to call elections. He has announced elections, but doesn't seem like democracy is going to return anytime soon. And imagine, Bangladesh was created with India's help, and Bangladesh's, roots, the entire substance of existence of Bangladesh was due to India. And today they are abusing India. What is happening on the streets of Bangladesh today? It happened yesterday in Dhaka that people, radical Islamist mob, wanted to attack the Indian High Commission in Dhaka. There was massive security presence that was deployed. It is a certain message that Mohammad Yunus wants to convey to New Delhi. Now, what happens today? In Khulna and in Rajshahi, there are 2 assistant high commissions of India. It's similar to a consulate that functions. And again, radical Islamist mob, really wants to go there, ransack the entire building and perhaps attack the Indian diplomats. This is the reality of the day, and there's been absolutely no action by the Mohammad Yunus government. Now, the last point, Padmaja, at a time when there should have been some consensus in Bangladesh to democracy to return, for an olive branch to India and some kind of a negotiation to take place, what Yunus is instead doing is absolute nothing. Yunus is completely blind, completely mute to the ransacking and the abuse and the threats that are happening against India. And now the Bangladeshi cricket team is dancing to a song of Durandar. At the same time, you have violence taking place where radical Islamists are giving a free run. This indicates, Padmaja, that common people of Bangladesh are not with Mohammad Yunus or the radical Islamists. They are with India. But there is a certain section that has been given a complete free run, and that is on Yunus.
Muqtadir Rashid, what is Mohammad Yunus's big game here? In front of the world, to the West, he says, this is the cradle of democracy. We believe in the system. It was a student-led revolution. And now these so-called student activists are there on the street giving death chants.
So I spoke to NCP whether they endorsed the statement of Hasnat, who wanted to destroy Seven Sisters. And the party said, no, they are not endorsed this kind of statement, which is very shocking for them. But a section of NCP, which is, that comes through this revolution or mass surprise, whatever you say, they are very far right, and they have nexus with some of the elements who are connected with different kind of mob violence and others. So that is very shocking. And we have seen some groups which they said something like the July Unity or so. They are absolutely mobster and very much connected with the Jamaat Islami student wing, chapter Shibir. And they are powered by those people. You are seeing those two on the screen. They wanted to take every single brick from the Indian High Commission, which is very unfortunate because this is the diplomatic norm we should show. And we have seen today there is a press conference in which two of the retired or I can say the dismissed military officer were present, and they are in past charged with their extremist connections. So there is no action from Dr. Muhammad Yunus, and they are seeing they're just looking at watching it. But unfortunately, when they are taking any action, especially the home advisor, foreign advisor, and the law advisor, when they are shouting for action or taking any action against this mobster, they are now chanting slogan against them, and they want their, they have to step down. So this is kind of the mob rule, and few of the elements backed by West now they are trying to get the advantage of it, and we are very, very worried about our future because this is the high time for us to get the democratic transition. And of course, Tariq Rahman is coming this week, and he is the hope for Bangladesh for now because his party now, with a majority supporter he has, and he wants to lead the nation with some specific welfare policy, which is very connected to the global, future of Bangladesh. But
correct. But Tehmina Rizvi, should we be scared for the safety of people of Indian origin, including diplomats, given the way the situation seems to be deteriorating even further?
Yes, definitely. I think Bangladesh, what it is proving right now to be is Pakistan 2.0. And since Sheikh Hasina was forced to leave the country, we have seen Bangladesh's continuous deterioration of law and order situation. Seems like these people are in continuous competition in terms of thinking that who is more anti-India. For the people, Indian people, the Indian origin people living in Bangladesh, I know there have been certain conversations going around saying that India is interfering, and I think these people are not clearly understanding that there's a clear demarcation of interference and due diligence. If you do that to our people, if you say, for example, if you openly give those remarks of Seven Sisters, how do you want India to respond? It's a security situation, of course, and in that case we are not expected to be the good, humble big brother, right? But the thing is, what we are understanding here, the narrative which is not taking a center stage in conversations is the July 36 conversation, a date which no longer exists, a date which was given a due, it was extended to August 5, of course. And these people have been, there's a failure, I would say, that intergenerational failure has been there, intergenerational gap has been there. The older generation is not able to teach the younger ones what 1971 liberation exactly was. And since there's also a huge sort of crunch, I would say, on minorities, so much so that Vatican Pope had to sort of, condemn the issues. That is the condition right now. And seems like Bangladesh is setting a golden standard in South Asia after Pakistan.
Okay, we are also joined now by Muhammad Ali Arafat, who was the information minister in Sheikh Hasina's cabinet and central leader of the Bangladesh Awami League. How do you see, Mr. Arafat, the threats being issued now by the likes of Hasnat Abdullah, who is saying that the Seven Sisters of India will be severed?
Thank you. Well, I see this kind of speeches are absolutely the violation of the basic etiquettes of diplomacy. And this is the kind of things these people are saying in Bangladesh because this is the kind of politics they're trying to do there. Because they somehow feel that the Islamic extremists and the anti-71 elements, who are basically the pro-Pakistani elements, they tend to get very excited listening to this kind of speeches. And this is exactly they're trying to do, which is very mature, in my opinion, and really doesn't make sense.
Where do you see things going from here, Mr. Arafat? Because if anything, the protests over the last 3 days have only intensified. Do you think that this is, trying to bring India and Bangladesh on the brink?
Well, see, right after 5th August in 2024, right, something that they targeted, you know it, right, the Bangabandhu's residence at House 32. And after they demolished that residence, you saw that the Pakistani military intelligence chief, he made a post on his social media that he welcomed this act. And he said that it was the right thing to do because that is the residence where, in his opinion, the conspiracy to break up Pakistan was conceived. So you understand what this kind of people are and what they are trying to target. It's not only the residents of Bangabandhu at 32, but also any other structures or symbols of 1971, anything of liberation that they go and target. Because, this a particular segment of people, their predecessor, they also collaborated with the Pakistani army and basically stood against the liberation of Bangladesh. And they contributed to the killings of 3 million people and all that. So their predecessor, they basically eventually had to, concede the defeat and they surrendered, right? So there, this heir, of this generation, basically ideological heir, they still cannot accept the defeat. So it's in their, the seeds are in their core that pro-Pakistani and the Islamic extremism and all that. All the radical elements, the radical groups in Bangladesh, they're basically pro-Pakistani. And they try to see the relationship with India through the lens of the Pakistani military establishment. As simple as that. They don't want to see India as a country or a neighboring country. And then we can see how, we can develop our relationship through cooperation and collaboration. And to get the outcome of the friendship for the best benefit of the people of both the country. That's not how they say it. They want to see India not as a country, but as an enemy country from the very outset.
Absolutely.
Therefore, even to think about having a relationship, a good, positive relationship with India is kind of a, anti-Bangladesh activity for them.
And all of this is being done deliberately, Aditya. The shooting of a politician there, India being dragged in with absolutely no evidence that there is any involvement of India in what has happened in Bangladesh, in Dhaka. Then you've had a number of these so-called student protesters, people like Nahid Aslam, people like Hasnat Abdullah. They were supposed to be the young revolutionaries, and this is what they are.
The young revolutionaries haven't done this only over the last 72 hours, Padmaja. This is a very carefully studied plan. It's a modus operandi. I do not know who is behind this. There were reports doing rounds in the Russian media and the Bangladeshi media that there is an American effort for Takhta Palti in Bangladesh that has happened. Today, it almost seems that Muhammad Yunus is either a puppet of Pakistan or he's a puppet of Jamaat-e-Islami, because the kind of open ground that the radical elements have been given. Now, what happened, Padmaja, in August last year? The primary target was Awami League. We had the former minister here. The primary target was Sheikh Hasina and, of course, Dhanmondi 32. But immediately after that, the first target became India. How? They targeted the Indira Gandhi Cultural Center. The entire building was gutted. And that was the beginning of the tirade that began from the so-called students' movement. So the reality of the day today is that radical elements are, going all guns blazing against India, and Muhammad Yunus is comfortably sitting in his palace and not doing anything. If he is a democratic leader, if he is a leader of the grassroots movement, why isn't he putting a leash on these elements and saying that this cannot be tolerated? One is a grievance that they have, that Sheikh Hasina is in New Delhi and India has given a cover to Sheikh Hasina, etc. That's okay. But the reality of the day is that India has been the closest partner of Bangladesh for decades together.
No, and I think it is quite clear to everyone watching right now, perhaps barring America, that Mr. Yunus is only working on the instructions of these so-called student protesters turned radicals turned Jamaat fronts. Muqtadir Rashid.
I think there are some proxy of Jamaat working along the Dr. Yunus government. They are very much connected with the Jamaat ideology. They are former Islamic Chhatra Shibir guys who are the APS or the personnel officer of those advisor. They are guiding these advisor to take any kind of actions or making any decisions. So that's a very alarming for future. Especially they are in the mode that they wanted to put Jamaat Islami in next power. So we are really hoping for a fair election, but we don't know.
Absolutely. In fact, that is the question I wanted to ask Mr. Arafat next. How do we even know that there is going to be any fair election? This seems to be only a build-up to foisting Jamaat-e-Islami on all of Bangladesh in the garb of we did elections. Mr. Arafat.
I mean, what kind of fair election you are talking about? The election that Yunus is going ahead with, I mean, it is an one-sided election. It's going to be a one-sided election. One of the major parties, Awami League, has been banned. And all of the other allies, like the 14-party alliance members or the smaller parties, progressive parties, like even Jatiyo parties also has been sidelined. So without having all of these parties together, you just look at the vote banks of these parties. You know, historically, the elections which have been accepted worldwide, if you just take a look at that, if not all the elections, if you take a look at only the elections that have which have been accepted, look at the vote banks, then you will find out that you are actually disenfranchising most of the people, many of the people there. So during the Awami League tenure, many of the elections where BNP did not come and participate, and therefore the elections were highly criticized. I mean, and I agree that those elections, some of the elections were not actually participated because BNP being one of the major party did not come. So you can blame Awami League for BNP not coming or blame BNP for not coming, or there can be many other analysis for that, right? But still the elections were not highly participatory because of the absence of BNP, right? If that was wrong, then how can you just forcefully exclude Awami League, not giving them even a chance for them to decide whether to come or not? You're banning a party and calling the upcoming election is an election. Election is a contest. It's a choice. Yeah. It is not even, I mean, there's no fair, nothing fair about that election at all. I mean, the people
final
of the
word,
country
Temina Rizvi, for us sitting here in India, the main worry seems to be, if the Jamaat is on its way into power, does that mean an almost holocaust staring the minorities in Bangladesh in the face?
Bangladesh is already what I hear.
Yes,
from
as
the
my
people
fellow panelists have mentioned that.
Yes, Temina Rizvi.
Sorry about that. Sorry. I didn't realize.
Yeah. So the election we are talking about, it's already a sham, since we know that Awami League is banned and BNP is facing an exile paradox, and we must understand that Jamaat-e-Islami is the only organized force. And my fellow panelists said that it might be a proxy. It's not a proxy. It's clearly an evident force which is working there. And for Jamaat-e-Islami to take the center stage, it is going to turn into a regional catastrophe. But I think if they think that to threaten India with the Seven Sisters thing, it's not going to go easy. It's not, India would take full force, I think, to fight with that. And for minorities, I think Bangladesh is severely failing in terms of, with their minorities, not only Muslims, I would say it's also about Christians. Christians are facing severe issues in Bangladesh, and I think that is one of the major issues. But what we are trying to neglect here is that their idea of the country is not democratic. Their idea is not to create a new reality of Bangladesh or to reimagine it in several ways. Their idea is to follow what Pakistan is doing. So we have two neighbors from both the sides to do whatever trajectory they have been following earlier.
The last thing India needs at this time is a return of East Pakistan. And look at the irony, like Mr. Arafat just pointed out, to remove Sheikh Hasina, this group of people said that elections were rigged, and now they are literally rigging the elections and pretending that this is a democratic process only to foist Jamaat-e-Islami onto the country. Thanks very much, all gentlemen, and Temina Rizvi for having joined us. We'll keep a close eye on what happens. Of course, India must keep its interests first. That is where the buck stops as far as we are concerned. Time for a quick break.